What's up, fam bam? Jonathan and Rachel Beasley, 757 Building Company, back again. And today we're talking about the top 10 myths. And we're gonna debunk every freaking one of them, and it starts now.
Jonathan, people always say barndominiums are cheaper to build.
Lies! This is not true at all. They are not cheaper to build, but that's actually a different point. The talk about them being cheap metal barns, right? That's just simply not the case. These things are beautifully architected, beautiful designed homes, and the exteriors are built like a tank. I think people talk about them being like cheap metal barns because like that's how they started. People started converting barns back, whatever, like literally 80, 100 years ago, creating living spaces and lofts and that sort of thing. And the term barndominium, I think, was like in the 80s or like late 80s.
1989.
Oh, look at you, statistician. But yeah, they're anything but a cheap metal barn. They are beautifully designed custom homes that are fit for you and I and any family who wants to build one. Next, number 2, Rachel, and this is actually a big one. We even have like bankers occasionally get confused as to whether or not their institution will lend on a barndominium. We just ran into this last week where the bank was like, I'm not sure if we lend on them. And 5 minutes in the conversation, we had them convinced that yes, they do, and here's the regulations on it. So people often say we can't get financing on a barndominium, so it's off the table. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's definitely false.
Yeah.
You absolutely can. And it's really just a matter of talking to the lender and educating them on how we build our barndominiums, what makes the difference. Quite frankly, it really is a single family home, just built differently. So it's not a problem. It's just a matter of knowing how to talk to the bank.
Yeah, they're all built to the same codes and specs as normal homes. There's just some different things on the exterior and a few different ways that we construct them, but it meets modern code, and any bank that lends on new construction can lend on barndominiums, right?
All right. Number 3,
yes.
A lot of people say they are cold in the winter and hot in the summer.
Yes, if this were an uninsulated metal barn,
it would be
that would be the case, but these are custom built homes that are insulated. And so no, that's actually the funniest one, that they think it's just like, this is just nothing but a metal barn.
Right.
No,
or a warehouse.
Right, these homes are well insulated, well climate controlled, energy efficient homes. We use top of the line HVAC systems, and our windows are insulated beyond what's required by code. So no, they hold in, they keep the heat out in the summer and they hold the heat in the winter, and
exactly.
That is nothing to be worried about. Number 4, they're just a fad, they're gonna go out of style. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, not at all. Like actually, when we actually did our research on this, we found that people were actually living and building in barndominiums in the early 1900s. And actually like 1900 to the early 50s, people were just converting their barns and living in them. Yeah. And then in the 1970s, they were actually called shop houses. So people were starting to live in them, and they actually had a name, and it wasn't until 1989 that it got its name, barndominium. And
Somebody's been on ChatGPT today.
They caught fire in the early 2000s, and they're still here, guys. So it's been over 100 years. 125 years to be exact, so I don't think they're going anywhere. I
completely agree. Yeah, good style doesn't go out of style, right? So if you look at we'll have Dylan show some beautiful edits of our beautiful exterior renderings and buildings on Chipokes and Alliance. They're beautiful homes. Bottom line is they're beautiful homes, and cool never goes out of style. So totally agree.
All right, I got another one for you.
What you got?
They're loud in the rain, like so loud. You can't even hear anything while you're inside.
So many, we laugh, but a lot of people say it, and I was even actually curious myself. So yeah, a couple months ago, we had one framed up and had a nice storm, and me and Chase, my project manager, drove out of the house and recorded it in the rain. And this was with like no furniture inside, so there's really nothing to help insulate it other than the structure itself and the drywall, and it was as quiet as a mouse. It wasn't any different than a shingle roof home, which was super cool because I was just a wee bit concerned because it's a common question.
Yeah.
But nope, they are good to go. Number 6, people think they don't appreciate like a traditional home.
I'm gonna say that's false.
Yes.
And here's why. Because they really are they're built to last. Like Jonathan always says, they're built like a tank. And the siding, the roof, like all of those things, components that actually make the home a home and a structure that you can live in. You can build a house that's a $200,000 house, and you can build $1 million home. It all really depends on what finishes you put inside them.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes a home appreciate also. time as well in the market, but they really do appreciate just like any other normal home would.
Yeah, for sure. I think, again, design features, usability, it's all supply and demand, right? So if you're building something that is super niche and like there's only a few people that could even be interested in it or afford it, then obviously you narrow your buyer pool. But
Right.
you know, if you're staying relatively on the beaten path and using, you know, modern features and styles that would be broadly marketable, you're not going to have any problem selling your home at a later date.
All right, next myth would be they can only be built in the country. What do you think about that?
Well, obviously we've been saying false to everything because this is like a myth debunking video, but I'm going to kind of say like kind of true on this one, but not necessarily true. Kind of true with a caveat, right? Most of the barndominiums that we're building are on like 1 acre lots and larger. Most of the people that we are custom building for want to live on sprawls and they want to shoot guns and ride four-wheelers. We affectionately call most of our client avatars bougie rednecks, right? Because they're people that have money, they want to build a custom home, but they also want some space. We have not yet built one in a neighborhood, but you certainly could build this in an HOA or in a more urban area, particularly in the HOA and ARB or architectural review board world. As long as they don't discount or eliminate homes that have metal siding,
Right.
they certainly can be built in a neighborhood and pass any rigor of an architectural review board. So we have not built one yet in a planned development community, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happens at some point soon. Next, people say that they're just too industrial and they're not cozy and they're not homey. It's just like you're living in a big old metal garage. What's up with that?
Well, our barndominiums are completely finished, like we drywall and trim, just like you would see in a normal home, but kind of gives them the cool like barndominium feel or look, or would be more of the finished work. Do you want to have wood beams inside or different architectural things that actually make it feel like a barndominium? It really all depends on the finishes that you put inside. So they're not like these cold, dark places. In fact, we put a lot of lighting in our homes.
For sure.
So I would say it really is about how you want it to be built, but hopefully people don't build dark, cold spaces.
Yeah, no, and most of our clients are actually finishing them with like bright colors and bright finishes and tons of lighting and recessed lights. And so they actually feel incredibly bright and inviting. And it just all boils down to your design features. So Pinterest is a good friend. She's a good friend when you're doing the design. You know, getting online, seeing what kind of color palettes you like. It can be as bright as you would like it to be.
Second to last one here, guys. They are hard to maintain. What do
Really?
you think about that?
You've gotten that objection.
I have.
That's funny.
People think they're hard to maintain.
That's really interesting. Well, obviously let's debunk it now. No, metal exterior, 60-year roof, 60-year siding. You don't even really have to paint it. It's thick gauge metal. Like if you hit it with something, you can take out pieces of siding. You can replace one piece of siding. You don't have to like reside a whole section of your house where, you know, you compare that to, let's say, vinyl. I mean, you could kick a rock up with a weed eater and put a hole in a piece of
That's
vinyl.
true,
Like
yeah.
really, I have done it many times in the first couple houses that we owned. Or even hardy plank siding, like that fades in the sun.
It does.
You
You have
know,
to paint it.
Yeah, exactly. If you have like a big bright like blue or darker red hardy plank siding, you get a lot of sun, you're gonna have to paint that thing every few years just to keep the color fresh. None of that's a problem. Pressure wash your barn door a couple times a season, maybe at the beginning of the summer, end of the summer, and you're good to go. Maintenance free as it can be. The last one, they are cheap and they are easy to build. I could build this on a weekend with my buddies over a 6-pack of beer.
No.
What are your thoughts?
All right, that's definitely a myth. I mean, if you're like buying one of those metal kits and you are gonna try and like hodgepodge something together on the inside, like, no, these have real foundations and are up to building code, and no, they're not cheaper to build. If
Yeah, for
anything, they're
instance,
actually like a little more
like we have that
expensive.
one client we're building the spruce for. Like, think about us, like the extent that our masons are going to like polish that floor.
Right, yeah, they're doing a polished concrete floor. and
The
like,
floor is
that's
going to be
a lot of time.
epoxied and exposed. So like, you know, we're going to spend basically 3 days perfecting this slab to make sure that the epoxy goes down and it's as smooth as ice, because that's going to be the interior finish of their floor. So no, I mean, I guess I could see it if you're a handy guy and a carpenter and you have a bunch of handy friends you want to build, you want to throw up like a metal garage or metal building. But custom built barndominiums are not they're not cheaper and they're not easier to build than normal construction. They're, like Rachel said, I always say they're built like a tank. They last longer. And there's a lot more design features. All the weight of the property is on the exterior wall. So the inside can basically be drawn and redrawn to whatever liking that you have and whatever use and utility you have for your floor plan. So no, they are not cheaper. I hate to burst that bubble. It's the only one that's kind of like, the good thing is they are beautiful homes. They're a blast to build and they're wonderful to live in. And so I would suggest before you think about buying that kit and going down the road of the 12 pack with your buddies on a weekend, maybe give us a call and have an educated discussion on what it might look like to build your dream home in the form of a custom barndominium.
I think everyone should call us and ask us to build a barndominium.
If you guys have any further thoughts, questions, comments, please hit us up below. Until then, we're Jonathan and Rachel Beasley, 757 Building Company, Hampton Roads premier custom barndominium builder, and we will catch you next week.